So I'm a goofy idiot. Somehow, I managed to completely skip Dragonshy, even though it's one of my favorite episodes of season 1. I went straight to Look Before You Sleep, but Dragonshy becomes before it, so this'll be Dragonshy. Uh, like I said, it's one of my favorite episodes in season 1, probably in the entire series. It has the funniest moment, in my opinion, in the entire series. Yeah, the funniest moment. It is the beginning of Fluttershy and her change from being the coward to being, well, shy, if you want to say shy, if you want to say coward, whatever, to becoming more assertive and confident. Um, and it really shows the difference between early season writers and late season writers, and just how poorly late season writers were handling certain things. So, yeah, let's get into it. The episode starts with Fluttershy feeding some of her animal friends, and I really want to point out this frame and the one right after it. I don't have to show it, but one of the problems that I had with one of the later episodes, I forgot which one it was, but it's the one where Angel and Fluttershy switch bodies. So the contrast between season 1 writers and season 9 writers. In this episode, right here, you can see Fluttershy is feeding the animals dead fish. In the next scene, she feeds the birds worms. Meat. She feeds them meat. Because she understands that certain animals need to eat meat. It's not they need meat. That's just the way nature works. In that episode later in season 9, she's trying to give snakes vegan food and trying to be making them all peaceful. It's so stupid because these people want to force their views on nature, and nature is nature. It's not about feelings or kindness or any of these things. Nature is nature. It's best summed up in the movie Finding Nemo when the bird tells, I think it tells Nemo's dad, I forgot his name, but it says, fish gotta swim, birds gotta eat. That's just nature. And here, we had reasonable writers in season 1 who were like, Fluttershy knows what these animals need, and she gives it to them. And in season 9, we were getting silly stupidity like, oh, give snakes vegan food. So the main conflict starts really quick. Fluttershy notices smoke billowing in from a cave. She goes into town, tries to warn every pony. Every pony doesn't care. We get a small, ball bouncing thing with Rainbow Dash and Pinky, but it doesn't matter. And then Twilight comes and gets everyone's attention and explains the situation. She takes them back to her house and explains what they need to do. They've been assigned by Celestia to go ask the dragon to go sleep somewhere else. Very simple, very to the point, and it starts quick because we need to go to the other conflict, which is Fluttershy's unsurety or her fear. Next up, we get what I've always assumed has been an A-Team montage type of deal. I could be wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments. But the girls go home. They get ready to go on this mission, and it's a fun scene to see them all preparing in different ways and being enthusiastic, and Fluttershy being terrified. It's not fun to see Fluttershy terrified. It's interesting because you are intrigued to see how this is going to play out. Twilight starts mapping out their journey up the mountain and how they're going to go about it. And Fluttershy makes it abundantly clear that she does not think she should go on this mission and that she's not fit to go on this mission. This is an interesting moment for Twilight, especially, I think, because it feels like she's ignoring her friend's feelings, but it also could be construed as faith in her friend. She knows Fluttershy can do it if she needs to. And the thing is that they do need Fluttershy to do this. By the end of the episode, no one else can get the dragon to leave. This is also where we get the first instance of Rainbow Dash being a douchebag to Fluttershy in this episode, only because she's a douchebag later to Fluttershy and at different times. Rainbow Dash is like, are you sure you want Fluttershy to come with us? She's just going to hold us back and blah, blah, blah. and Twilight is like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And it's really interesting dynamic here with friends, because Twilight has been friends with Fluttershy for arguably like maybe a month or two at this point, and Rainbow Dash has been friends with Fluttershy since they were fillies in the flight camp, or after that, if you want to say after that. And you could say, well, Rainbow Dash knows Fluttershy better than Twilight does, but you could also say that Rainbow Dash has no faith in Fluttershy and Twilight does. I think it's an interesting dynamic. The girls are climbing the mountain, and Rarity says something along the lines of, if I play my cards right, maybe I could get the dragon to give me some of my jewels. And Pinkie imitates the dragon, and she's like, welcome to my cave, Rarity, would you like some jewels? And growls, and everyone laughs. And I find this especially funny. Not funny in the sense of, ah ha ha, it's a funny joke, but funny in the sense of, yes, this is literally how the characters should be. Because Twilight gets mad, and she's like, this isn't a laughing matter. She gets annoyed, and she tells everyone to basically stop joking around. And it's really funny because I'm doing the comics reviews in my shorts, and there's a part during the Nightmare Rarity arc where they're on the moon, and Spike and the other girls are messing around, and they're like playing I Spy or something, and I was literally like, why are they joking around? This is serious, and it should be a serious moment. And I don't think the characters would do this. And it's funny that in this part of this episode, Twilight literally does that. She's like, this is no joking matter. We need to get serious. Twilight asks Fluttershy a question, and she notices that Fluttershy hasn't climbed the mountain at all. Fluttershy is scared, and Rainbow Dash is already bashing on her. She's like, I don't know, just fly up here. And Fluttershy tries to fly, but she can't. She's too scared. Like, her wings literally lock. It's like a crippling fear, basically. It's like when your legs give out and you can't move. And I always find it really, really messed up of Dash here, again, because you're friends. You know Fluttershy is afraid of things. You're forcing her to do something she doesn't want to do. Something she's told you, I don't really want to do this. You need her help, and you're treating her like garbage. And that really bothers me, again, about Rainbow Dash. Even this early, this is not loyalty to me. This is douchebaggery. We don't really ever get an apology, I don't think, out of her by the end of the episode. We might, I'm not sure. But this is where my respect for Applejack went way up, and my respect for Rainbow Dash went way down. Applejack literally volunteers to take Fluttershy herself, like to drag her, basically, on a less steep route that will take longer, but she knows that they need her too, and she's willing to do that, even though it will be like exhausting for her. And it's crazy because we've already seen that Rainbow Dash can carry other ponies, and Rainbow Dash doesn't even want to do this. Rainbow Dash is done with Fluttershy. She just wants her to go home, and she doesn't care. And that's her friend, or at least someone she's known since she was young. And it's crazy to me that Applejack is the one who is doing this. It just goes to show the strength of character that Applejack has, and being kind to her friends. And Rainbow Dash, who apparently is loyalty, does not have that. They make it, she brings Fluttershy the entire way, but she's obviously tired. And all we get out of this scene from Rainbow Dash is more complaining about Fluttershy. And it's crazy, because she knows who she is. There's only two conclusions that I could really bring from this. She knows who Fluttershy is, and she doesn't care. She's just like, I want her gone. Or she doesn't know who Fluttershy is. And that's weird, because it's been years up to this point that they've known each other, at least. But it's still just more signs of Rainbow Dash's douchebaggery. It's kind of funny, because in this direct next scene, we get to see Applejack is still pushing Fluttershy, so she's still doing her job of getting Fluttershy up the mountain. But we get a narrow gap. There's like a narrow, not a gap, but a narrow like jump, cliff jump from like one side to the other. And Fluttershy is scared. And I understand the fear here, because every time the dragon snores, it's literally like an earthquake almost. The whole screen shakes, and it would be scary for someone who is scared, like generally afraid of things. So I can understand that. But again, we still get understanding from the girls. Pinky sings her It's Not Very Far, just maybe a little romp song. And also the Friendship is Witchcraft version of this song is really, really fun. And the other girls are like patient with Fluttershy, but still like Rainbow Dash is not. And it's really, really, really something that I would like to see how Rainbow Dash fans justify. I would assume they'd just be like, well, it's because Fluttershy's a coward. I don't know. The girls are going through a avalanche zone at this point, and Twilight is like, be quiet to everyone. And obviously Fluttershy is already on edge. And I just want to point out, a leaf causes her to scream, but the leaf only falls because Rainbow Dash flies through a tree. So again, this only happens because Rainbow Dash is haphazardly flying around and not paying attention to anything other than her own selfish. And an avalanche happens, and Applejack saves Twilight. And I really, really like this little nuzzle that Twilight gives Applejack. It's really cute, and I like it a lot. And Fluttershy apologizes. Nobody's mad at her, except for Dash, still. She apologizes, and Applejack says, oh, it's not a big deal. And Twilight's like, yeah, it's not. We just have to climb. And obviously they're not happy about having to climb over the debris, but they're not like, oh, Fluttershy, you're stupid. But Rainbow Dash still is being a jerk to Fluttershy. So at this point, Fluttershy is literally doing her best. She's going of her own power up and down the like she was walking before, so she's not having to be forced up anymore. She's trying her hardest to go with them, and she's tripping on rocks and stuff. And it's crazy because even though she's trying her best, it doesn't matter. Rainbow Dash does not care. She's still just being a complete and utter douchebag to Fluttershy. And I can't say it enough. It's wild that out of everyone, she is the one who is treating her worst. They're supposed to know each other. They're supposed to be friends. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the whole Race and Rainboom thing was the only time they even interacted with each other, and they never interacted with each other again. But I always figured that because they had known each other, that they actually had a friendship after that, but who knows. Anyways, on the way down the debris, Fluttershy loses her footing, and she falls, and she slides, and she knocks down Applejack and Rarity. And Rainbow Dash goes to help up Rarity, and Rarity says, my apologies. And Rainbow Dash, with like the most douchebaggiest glare and arrogance, looks directly at Fluttershy, and she says, not your fault, to Rarity, basically saying it's Fluttershy's fault. And Rainbow Dash, like, I laugh because in 246 Great, Rainbow Dash was a douche. And I really like 246 Great. I think it's a really good episode because Rainbow Dash gets told off by Smolder. And I really like that because somebody finally told her off, and she needed that. She needed it more than that, but like at least at some point she got that. And people were like, oh, Rainbow Dash was out of character. No, this has been Rainbow Dash's character the entire series. This is Rainbow Dash in season 1, and she is a douchebag to Fluttershy. This part is a bit wild. They arrive at the cave, and Twilight gives this whole spiel. She gives everyone a job. Rainbow Dash, clear out the clouds. Pinky and Rarity, you two are going to have a distraction. Applejack, be ready with apples to kick at the dragon. Yeah, that'll definitely stop a dragon, Twilight. In case he attacks. And it shouldn't matter because me and Fluttershy are going to go in, and we're going to try to get him to leave. And this is a failure of Twilight's, not a failure of Fluttershy's. Fluttershy has been scared of just the dragon's snoring. Just the dragon snoring has been enough to make her unable to fly and unable to move several times. And Fluttershy told Twilight, I don't think I should go. And then Twilight's like, well, Fluttershy, like, why didn't you say you were afraid of a dragon? How do you not know this as the leader, Twilight? You know Fluttershy is scared of things. You know she's scared of even just, like, in general, going to go see the dragon. And then you're surprised that she does not want to go into the cave to confront the dragon. That's definitely on Twilight, not on Fluttershy. And still, even here, when she says, I can't go in, everybody is, like, sad. But not Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash is still angry that Fluttershy is... Like, she makes a snide comment, and she's like, you're afraid of caves now? Dude, Rainbow Dash is just a douchebag in this episode. And, I don't blame Fluttershy at all for what happens here. She told them, I'm scared, I don't think I should go. She told them, like, I don't want to do this. You guys do this, I don't want to. And they were like, regardless. But, again, I think it has to do with faith and being confident in your friend. And the thing is that Fluttershy never goes into the cave. She never goes in to confront the dragon. The only reason she confronts the dragon is because the dragon comes out. So without Fluttershy, the girls have to try something else. And Twilight goes alone. Twilight goes this alone. She goes into the dragon's cave to try and convince the dragon to leave. And that's great. I think Twilight going it alone first as the leader makes the most sense. She fails because the dragon just doesn't care. But I think that looks good on Twilight as far as leadership goes. Rarity is next to try, and I freaking love her attempt because she pretty much could have done it. If she wasn't so obsessed with jewels and gems and whatnot, she probably would have convinced the dragon to leave herself. But because she says, I'll look after your hoard, and you never mess with the dragon's hoard, like, it screws up and the dragon makes her leave. And it's really funny because she's like, I was this close to getting that diamond. And Twilight is like, you mean making the dragon leave, right? And she's like, oh yeah, uh-huh. And it makes sense. Rarity's cutie mark is gems. She's obsessed with gems. She wants them all the time. So I think this scene is great for her character. And I think it's really funny because obviously no one's going to be able to solve the problem except for Fluttershy. Pinkie Pie is up next, and her scene is pretty funny because, like, with Twilight, we got inside the cave and what happened with the dragon, and then with Rarity, we got inside the cave and what happened with the dragon. And Pinkie Pie just goes in like this. We hear a scuffle, and balloons are deflating, and then she comes out with, like, her suit all messed up, and she's like, yeah, he didn't want to share. And we get a really, really funny scene with Rainbow Dash, and because she's like, she's getting frustrated because it's not working, and she's like, we've tried persuasion, and she points at Twilight, and it shows Twilight, and she's like, we tried charm, and she points to Rarity, and it shows Rarity, and she's like, and we tried whatever it is Pinkie Pie does, and, like, that's a really good line, because I guess she tried fun, but yeah, it's a really, really funny line. That all leads to what is essentially the funniest scene in all of MLP to me. Rainbow Dash flies in, and she just bucks the dragon right in the face. Kudos to her. That's ballsy as crap. I am, like, she's brave. Or stupid. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. She's one of those. And the dragon just sneezes and then gets mad and, like, growls at her. She goes flying like a bowling ball. And so, like, the girls are all set up outside, like, just static images. And they get hit by Rainbow Dash as she's flying, like, this in this ball shape. And, like, there's a bowling pin strike sound. And all four of the VAs... like, they do this, like, like a grunt sound. I think, like, Tabitha is probably the loudest. It's super funny. I can't see this scene and not laugh. It's really, really funny. It's really well done. The sound effect is perfect. I love this scene. I think it is probably the funniest thing in, like, the entire series. The resolution finally happens when the dragon comes out of the cave because Rainbow Dash kicked him in the face, and he starts rampaging, and the girls are all decked and they're all, like, on the ground except for Fluttershy. The rock breaks. Fluttershy sees her friends, and she's like, she gets her courage, and she's like, you don't hurt my friends, and she starts berating the dragon. And it's funny, like, this is really funny too, because she's like, what do you have to say for yourself or whatever? Or, like, she says, like, something like, why or whatever. And the dragon's like, but that rainbow one kicked me. And friggin' stupid Rainbow Dash has this smug smile and she just nods. That moment is really funny too. Because the dragon's voice, and he's right. He did get kicked. And Rainbow Dash is just like, yep, I kicked him in the face. And then it's resolved. Fluttershy makes the dragon cry. And she's like, you're not a bad dragon, you just made a bad decision. And the dragon leaves, and everything gets resolved. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard Twilight dictating the letter to Spike, because I didn't really remember the message of this episode. And just watching it now, she says, never to lose faith in your friends. And it's funny because I kept saying Twilight had faith in Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash didn't. And it's just good storytelling, because that is what you would gather from watching the episode and not knowing what Twilight was going to write. Twilight had faith. She had faith in her friends, and she never lost it. She never lost faith in her friends. And that's a really good message, and it's really good writing during the episode, because that is what I was saying while I was watching this episode. Oh, she has faith in her friends. I really like this episode. Rainbow Dash is a douche, but I like Rainbow Dash being a douche, because not all characters, not all friends, not even all people are not going to be a douche. I can be a douche sometimes, and well, I could be a douche a lot. And the thing is I'd still try to be a really good friend regardless. We all have our flaws, and as long as you're not harming anyone actively, like physically harming them, I think it's okay to have flaws. But yeah, Dragonshy, I'd give this episode 5 out of 5. I still love it to this day. I still go back and watch the scene where they get hit like bowling pins. I think it's really good storytelling. I think that, especially since this is season 1, it's really good storytelling, because we're getting established characters and how they are, and them slightly growing. Because at the end of this episode, we get Fluttershy still being scared. She still does the little lamb thing or whatever, where she falls over, the sheep thing, the whatever, goat thing. And obviously she doesn't like completely eliminate her fear, but yeah, I really, really like this episode.